Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with another recommendations video, and because fall is rapidly approaching, I wanted to go ahead and recommend 10 books by Black authors that I feel would be perfect for the fall and spooky season. So all of the books I'm going to talk about include some sort of horror element, and then I do have a mix of middle grade, young adult, and adult. And we will go ahead and start with my middle grade recommendations. So starting with middle grade, I actually only have one recommendation for you guys. I don't typically pick up a lot of middle grade, but the reason why I picked this one up, I read it a few years ago. It was because a lot of people raved about it and this did not disappoint. So this is Root Magic by Eden Royce. And in this one, it takes place in 1963 in South Carolina, and we're following these two really young twins. They are Jez and Jay. They have recently lost their grandmother, but their uncle reaches out to them and says since they're about to turn 11, they are old enough to now train in root work, which is a sort of magic that has been passed down for many generations in their family. And Jez and Jay are super excited to start training. However, once their training begins, there is some sort of evil supernatural presence that is now lurking in their town, and Jez and Jay need to get rid of it. I thought this was fantastic. I thought it was age appropriate for middle grade, and I thought this book was super creepy. So I did listen to this on audio, and I thought that the audio narrator did a great job bringing those horror elements to life. I kid you not, there were certain points in this story where I was looking over my shoulder because I just found this to be extremely creepy. But not only does it have that creep factor, it also talks about love, the power of friendship, the importance of family. It has all of that. But if you are looking for something that has a little bit of horror, if you are into middle grade, if you know younger readers, this is one that I would definitely recommend. So I have 4 young adult books that I would like to recommend to you guys. 2 of them are actually anthologies. So the first one that I have here is The Black Girl Survives in this one. And all of the stories featured in this anthology, they all deal with the final girl trope. So we're following these Black girls, and if you know anything about the final girl trope, they are the last ones to survive. I had a fun time with this one, and I am definitely someone that is a fan of the final girl trope. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what to expect in here, one of my favorites that I read out of this anthology, it is The Brides of Devil's Bayou by Desiree S. Evans. And in that particular story, we're following this girl who I think she's going back home to New Orleans, and we find out that her family is cursed. Like every generation, this demon comes and takes a girl from the family. And so now this girl that we're following, the demon is after her, and she is trying to figure out a way to defeat it. I found that story to be extremely creepy. I find anything to do with demons to be creepy in general. So of course this story really hit for me. But if you like the final girl trope, I would definitely suggest you guys pick this one up. The other anthology I have here, it is All These Sunken Souls. And this is just a mix of different type of horror. So just to give you guys an idea of what to expect in this one of my favorites is called Lights. It's actually the first story in this book, and it's by Kaylin Barron. So in Lights, we're following this person who has been stalking this family in their house. And what they've noticed is that this family always leaves the lights on during the daytime, during the nighttime, and they cannot figure out why. One day they actually go ahead and break into these people's house, and they soon come to find out why these people leave the lights on. I thought that was a very entertaining story. I think this anthology specifically would work for anybody that is trying to dip their toes into horror, and you're trying to find what it is that you like and dislike about horror. I think this features a lot of different type of stories. So if you guys are trying to figure out whether or not horror is even your genre, I would definitely suggest this one. The next one we have here is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. Now this author has been a hit or miss for me, but I actually really enjoyed The Weight of Blood. So if you guys are familiar with Stephen King's Carrie. I think that was like one of Stephen King's like first really popular books and movies. Then I think you would enjoy this one because this one is definitely inspired by Carrie. So in this, we're following this young high school girl. Her name is Madison. She goes by Maddie, and she gets teased a lot at school. She's able to pass as a white girl. She's raised by her white father, but something happens one day while she's at school, and everyone finds out that she is actually biracial. And the teasing from there is like relentless. So a thing to know is this town has a lot of like racial history. They're pretty much racist here. And the school decides that it's gonna hold its first integrated prom, if that tells you anything about this town. And so the white school president has her black boyfriend ask Madison to go to the prom, and there's an incident that takes place at prom. If you have seen Carrie or you are familiar with Carrie, then you probably already know what takes place at prom. But this book also includes a bit of mixed media because we're getting interviews and like articles of people recounting what happened at prom. Again, I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed Carrie. I enjoyed Tiffany D. Jackson's take on it. So if you have not picked up anything from this author, this is one I would recommend. So the last young adult book that I want to recommend to you guys, it's called You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Barron. So in this one, this takes place at like a summer camp, and we're following one of the young camp counselors, Charity, and this camp does a little something different. So the camp is called Camp Mirror Lake, and these counselors and people that work at the camp, they do recreations of a really popular scary movie, and it's really popular with people. People pay to come. It's like a full contact kind of like recreation. But one day while they're in the middle of like doing their scene recreations, Charity's other camp counselors start to show up dead, and she realizes they actually have a real killer among them, and the story kind of takes off from there. Not only do I think that this is a perfect book for fall just because of the horror elements, I also think this will be a perfect book for the summer because of the summer camp. But I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the ending of this one. And if you are a fan of Jason, and what was it in his movie, it was like Camp Crystal Lake, there are some similarities between the two. So if you like that, I think you should check out this book. It's kind of short and fast-paced and straight to the point. So if you are looking for something that is really quick to read, I would definitely suggest you pick up this one. So moving on to my adult recommendations, this first one is one that I see recommended countless times, and so I'm gonna also recommend it. That is Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. This was my first book by this author, and this was a great introduction into their work. It's really short and it definitely packs a punch. So in this one, it takes place all the way back in 1915, and we're following this girl and some other fighters, and they go after Ku Klux Klan members because these Ku Kluxes actually turn into demons, and this girl and her friends are trying to rid the world of demons. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I did find this one to be creepy. This is another one that I listened to on audio. I would highly recommend listening to this one on audio, especially with how the audiobook narrated like the demons. The imagery for what these demons look like is horrifying, and anything that has to do with like the Ku Klux Klan is terrifying within itself. So if any of that sounds interesting to you guys, I would suggest you guys run and pick this one up. Another one that I cannot actually recommend enough is The Reformatory by Tanana Reeve-Dew. This is a pretty popular author, and I think this book has been really popular since it came out. And so this is another one that I'm sure you are gonna see on other people's lists, but I am also gonna recommend this one for you. So this one takes place in 1950. Yes, in June of 1950. And we're following this young boy, Robbie, who actually gets sent to this reformatory school after trying to protect his sister from being harassed by these white boys. And so we quickly learn at this reformatory, it is not a good place. Not a lot of boys come home after being sent there, and there are some ghosts lurking around at this reformatory. Not only are we following Robbie and his horrific time at this place, we're also following his sister Gloria, who is doing everything that she possibly can to try to get her brother Robbie to come home. I would highly suggest, before picking this book up, that you check the trigger warnings, because this book really goes there. It's also a longer story, so if you are someone that likes to sit with the book and take your time with it, this is perfect to do during the fall. But I really liked the storytelling for this one. I really enjoy might not be the right word to use for this book, just because of how heavy it is. But I did enjoy our time with Robbie and seeing him try to figure out a way to get out of this reformatory. The stuff that he goes through, the stuff that the other boys go through is just so sad. There are ghosts, so that's why I consider this a good read for the fall time. But if it sounds interesting to you, I would suggest picking it up. Again, even though I really enjoyed this one, please check out the trigger warnings. Another book that I want to recommend to you guys is Nana by Brandon Massey. This book, even though I do feel like there are some horror elements to it, I was thoroughly entertained while I was reading this. So in this one, we are following Monica and Troy. And while they're at a funeral for the death of one of Monica's loved ones, all of a sudden this woman named Grace appears and says that she is Monica's long lost mother. And even though Troy doesn't want her to, Monica decides to invite this lady to stay with them. And some strange things start to happen. One of those strange things that's happening that Troy has been noticing is that Monica has been aging at a rapid rate. Meanwhile, her quote unquote mother, Grace, has been aging backwards and is starting to look younger. A lot of crazy things happen in this. Again, I was thoroughly entertained. I think the idea of this and some of the things that was happening is like horrifying, but a lot of this I could not help but laugh because it was so outrageous. So this is one of the ones that I would definitely recommend if you are not sure if horror is a thing for you. I would pick up this one. Even if this does not scare you, it will definitely entertain you. This is the only book that I have read by Brandon Massey so far, but I definitely want to pick up more after reading this one. So the next one that I want to recommend is Jackal by Aaron E. Adams. First, let's just talk about this cover, because the cover is stunning. I will always say that. This is one of my favorite covers for a book. But in this one, we are following our main character, Liz. She's a Black woman. She is heading back to her hometown where she doesn't really want to go, but she's going back for her best friend's wedding. While at the wedding, the best friend's daughter actually goes missing. And Liz realizes that this has become a pattern because every year a Black girl goes missing. And so there are some supernatural elements that take place. The ending for this one works for some, doesn't work for others. I will say it kind of went over my head, but other people have seemed to understand it. What I really liked about this is like the mystery surrounding the missing girls. There are some chapters in here throughout the story where you're kind of learning a little bit. You get like little snippets of the previous missing girls. And I really like the commentary about what happens when a Black girl goes missing versus when a white girl goes missing. And I think that that was incorporated into this story really well. The reason why I'm recommending this for the fall is because of the mystery element and because of the supernatural element that I did find to be creepy. Although, like I said, it did kind of go over my head. After reading this one, I am really interested to pick up something from Aaron E. Adams. Now, if you have read this and you are wanting to actually pick up something else from her, in one of the anthologies that I mentioned previously, she actually contributed a story. So there you go. Another reason to pick up one of those anthologies. So I really enjoyed this one. And if you are somebody that is really big on commentary in their books, I would suggest this one. The last book that I would like to recommend is The Spite House by Johnny Compton. I believe this was like their debut novel. And so in this one, we're following this father. I think his name is Eric. Yes, we are following Eric. And he is actually on the run with his 2 young daughters. And he actually finds this ad for a caretaker for a house. And the house is actually considered like a spite house. He learns very quickly that a lot of people have not had the best time trying to be the caretaker for this house. A lot of people don't last long as a caretaker for this house. And he finds out that some spooky things are happening in this house. Not only is something happening at this house, but something is going on with one of his daughters that you slowly start to piece together throughout the story. I will say, if you like a haunted house story, this will be perfect for you. If you like a lot of characters in your books, a lot of different POVs, this will be good for you. I personally did not find this to be as scary as I wanted it to be. There was definitely some creepy scenes. And if you are somebody that is trying to figure out what type of horror stories will work for you, I will suggest this one. So those are the 10 books that I would recommend you guys for the fall and spooky season. If you guys have read any of these, please let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys have other recommendations for other people to read during this time by Black authors, please, please, please leave those recommendations down in the comments below. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.